Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the 1111 Matrix Code Revealed. As always, I am your host, Garrett King. Today's episode is actually one that I have started and stopped a couple of times now already. So hopefully the third time is going to be the charm. The reason I've started and stopped is because it's a very touchy subject. The way that things have kind of developed and these connections that I'm finding, they've sort of gone a path that I wasn't expecting. And despite how it's going to look, I don't think that it's negative. Okay. And you'll see what I mean here in a moment. But in order to unpack this for you, I'm going to ask each one of you to please, if you can, for just a short duration of time, to suspend any and all of your religious beliefs. Okay? I'm not asking you to change your beliefs, just suspend them for just a moment. Just try to have an open mind, okay? Because again, this subject matter today is going to appear as though it's coming from a dark place, but I don't think it is. I think it's a deception, okay? I know it's very cryptic the way that I'm saying this, but I'm trying to be careful about things, and I want to be very careful about not pissing people off and, or make people think that I'm judging them in any way. I'm not doing that. Okay. So let's just dive into this. That's just the best way to do it. All right. So we're going to start off on going back to the Ohm frequency. This is something that I brought up to Micah, showing him that there's a connection to the number 11. And I mentioned it to Micah Dank in my conversation with him. And then I also mentioned it in, I think, the video before it, because I mentioned that I was reading his books and I came across this section in the book where one of the characters is talking about the Ohm frequency and how that frequency is 136.1 hertz. And I just couldn't get it out of my mind for some reason. And I kept reflecting back to the email that I got from the person named Bob, if indeed it is a person. And how the email stated a note from the universe, and how I originally looked at that as being a message, like a written message. And when I did finally reply, I said, "What is the message?" Still have not received any email back. But then after seeing this Ohm frequency, it made me think of, okay, like a note. Is it referring to a musical note or a sound or a frequency? That's why I couldn't just look and say, oh, okay, well, 1 + 3 + 6 + 1 is 11 and dismiss it. Yes, there's 11 connection, but let's not explore it anymore. It just kept eating at me. So that's what we're going to look at today. And we're going to see how it connects to something else and how all of this is interwoven and connected. Okay. All right. Let's look at just the numbers here. So the Ohm frequency, the frequency is 136.1 hertz. We already know that, and yes, you just saw 3 numbers on the screen. We'll get to that in a second. If you saw the calculator when I opened it up here, there was 3 numbers there. We'll get to it in a moment. All right. So, like I said, we already know that if you take and add each one of those numbers up individually, you get the number 11. But let's look at it the way that it's just written out, 136.1. add its mirror opposite. Okay. So we're going to add the mirror opposite, which is 1.631. The number we get is 137.731. Again, it's a palindrome. It's the same forwards and backwards. But there's something unique about this. I want you to look at the 4-digit numbers, or the 4-digit number in the center here between the two ones. We have 3773. Now recall back to the numbers that were generated, how they're going up and down by the number 37. Okay. It also ties back into what I showed several videos back, where in the Hebrew version of the Bible, Genesis 1, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth, gives the value of 2701. And 2701 plus its mirror opposite of 1072 is 3773. Now, that's exactly the number that we have encased within the number 11. So let's just break this down a little bit. So we have 1 at the beginning, and then we have 3, 7. This is technically an encoded 1111. So breaking it down, if you look, we have 1 at the beginning, then we have the numbers 3 and 7. 3 and 7 is 10. Then we have 7 and 3, which again is 10. And then we have 1 at the end. 10 reduces to 1. So you wind up with 1, 1, 1, 1. It's an encoded 1111. Now, referencing back to that email that I was telling Micah about, and I think that's the first time I mentioned it in any of these videos. I received an email from someone named Peter. I'm not going to say their last name because I don't have permission to do so. But this guy claims to be a cryptanalyst. And a cryptanalyst is a person who decodes hidden messages or codes without using like a key. Okay. And this person was explaining to me that just by, I guess he's been watching my videos and stuff, that it would appear to him, and this is his wording. I think I have his email, or not the whole entire email, but just a portion that I read to Micah. Okay, so this is a portion of this guy's email. And he says, "It must be said, Garrick, that whoever, or dare I say whatever, encrypted this information has done so by hybridizing different esoteric systems into an entirely new system that borrows from all of the above. Gematria, astrology, numerology, etc. Therefore, with this new system in place, the rules for each individual system no longer apply, which allows the hybrid system to encrypt information at a deeper level. Not sure how you figured this out. Figured all of this out on your own, other than something must be holding your hand and leading you down this path." Okay. Now that's this guy's wording, not mine. Now, what he's basically saying is whoever or whatever has encrypted all this information has done so by using different systems of encryption. So like using, typically you would look at this number 137731 and you would just add those numbers up to reduce them down. But the encoding is so deep that you have to look at it in a different way. such as looking at the 1 at the beginning and then 3, 7, determining that 3 and 7 is 10, which reduces to 1, and 7 and 3 again is 10, which reduces to 1, and then 1 at the end. So you have to start thinking again in an entirely different way to start decoding this information. So with that being said, 136.1 plus 1.631 equals 137.731. That is an encoded 1111. Now, when you take the number 136.1 and you get rid of the decimal point, we have 136.1 plus the opposite, which is going to be 1,631. We get the number 2992. Again, look at it from a different perspective. This again is a encoded 1111 because 2 and 9 is 11, 9 and 2 is 11. So that gives us the 1111. Not to mention, when you add 2 plus 9 plus 9 plus 2, you get 22, which is the equivalent of 11 plus 11. So you can see how this is encoded in that way. Now, before moving on, there's a line that I wrote here. I didn't write it, I actually copied it from a website, talking about the frequency of 136.1. And it says, while 136.1 hertz is between a C and a C sharp using the standard concert pitch, which is A equals 440 hertz, it is precisely a C sharp when A is tuned to 432 hertz. Now, there's a lot of videos all over YouTube, and there's a lot of websites all over the internet talking about 432 hertz and how it has all of these different healing properties, and how it's beneficial to your mind and your body, and how it can tear down mental blocks that you may have. It can relax you, helps expand your mind, just has all these different healing capabilities. Now, on the flip side of the coin, there's all these other websites that say none of this is true. So it's one of those things. It's like 50-50. Someone comes out with some information, and then someone else comes right along behind them and tries to not necessarily debunk it, but just say, it's not true, as a means of trying to persuade people into believing something different. Okay. Now, I've listened to a lot of music on YouTube that has been encoded in this new 432 hertz. It's not new, but they've just re-encoded the music to 432 hertz. I don't think I was able to tell a difference audibly, okay? Because we're just simply talking about the difference of 8 hertz. So the difference between 432 and 440 is 8. It's just 8 hertz. So I don't know that you can necessarily, I don't know, maybe some people can, and maybe I wasn't trying hard enough. I don't know. But I don't know that I could tell that much, if any difference, just using my ears. Now, what it may be doing to my body, my mind, could be substantial. I just, haven't listened to it enough to really notice the effects of it. But let's look at 432 hertz a little deeper here. And you're going to see in a moment why I'm going in this direction. Oh, actually, one more thing before we go there. Just looking at the number 2992, one of the other things that I did was take and add the double digits. So 29 plus 92 gives us 121, which also kind of points back to the numbers that were generated. When you take the last two digits, add the next two, and the next two, you'll come out with 121. So 74 plus 10 plus 37 equals 121. The next number, 37 plus 10 plus 74, obviously is going to be 121. It's the same digits. Now, the third number, which is 1111 with 3 zeros after it, just comes out to be 22. The third number, and again, you have to start from the end going to the beginning. So we'd go 63 plus 9 plus 48 plus 1 is 121. So the majority of these numbers do that. I haven't carried it through the entire list of numbers that were generated, but I've, gone a small distance here. And again, the majority of them come out to 121. Now, this could be an encoded way of looking at it as, the number 12, the number 37 being the 12th prime. So you look at the first two numbers, 1 and 2, being 12. So that could be a reflection of 37 being the 12th prime, and the number 73, looking at the last two here, 21 being the 21st prime. So yeah, just wanted to point that out really quickly. Now, let's go back to the 432 hertz. So A equals 432 hertz, which is known as Verdi's A, is an alternative tuning that is mathematically consistent with the universe. Music based on 432 hertz transmits beneficial healing energy because it is a pure tone of math fundamental to nature. Now let's go back and look at this. Mathematically consistent with the universe. Going back to the email from Bob, it said a note from the universe. You can see where I can make a connection there. Now exploring 432 hertz a little bit more. It says, according to some researchers, archaic Egyptian instruments that have been unearthed are largely tuned to A equals 432 hertz. Ancient Greeks tuned their instruments predominantly to 432 hertz. The American Federation of Musicians accepted the A440 as the standard pitch in 1917. Around 1940, the United States introduced 440 hertz worldwide, and finally in 1953, it became the ISO 16 standard. Now, there is a theory that the change from 432 hertz to 440 hertz was dictated by the Nazi propaganda minister. And I've looked up how to pronounce this guy's name, and everything I found says it's pronounced Joseph Goebbels. He used it to make people think and feel a certain manner, and to make them, once you look at these words, a prisoner of a certain consciousness. The Joseph Goebbels theory is certainly interesting, but the true reason of the shift to 440 hertz is still not clearly explained. Now, just a little more information here. 432 hertz unites you with the universal harmony. This musical pitch is connected to the numbers used in the construction of a variety of ancient works in sacred places, such as the Great Pyramid of Egypt. It's also more friendly for the ears. For many people, it is nicer for hearing, softer, brighter, and more beautiful than music that is encoded at 440 hertz. 432 hertz is based in nature, and therefore it generates healthy effects among the listeners. It brings natural harmony and balance of the third dimension and connects you with a higher consciousness. The pure and clean energy of 432 hertz removes mental block and opens a way to a more fulfilling life. Okay, so if that's the case, why would they change it from 432 hertz to 440? Now, doing some research online and just, reading, other people's research, some people suggest that the 440 hertz leaves you feeling sometimes, angry or emotional, even though you're listening to a song that may be your favorite song in the world. It still leaves you, it doesn't leave you feeling the same way you would if you had listened to it, if it had been encoded in 432 hertz. I don't know if that's true or not. But again, if this is true, you have to ask the question, why make that change? If it's the simple difference of 8 hertz, why make the change? Okay, now this will make sense here in a moment, but we're going to jump over to something known as the divine triangle, which is a obtuse triangle. And for those who don't know, an obtuse angled triangle is a triangle in which one of the interior angles measures more than 90 degrees. In an obtuse triangle, if one angle measures more than 90 degrees, then the sum of the remaining two angles is less than 90 degrees. So why is this one called a divine triangle? Well, as you can see, we have 108 degrees right here, and we have 36 degrees on each side. So let's take 108 plus 36 plus 36. We get 180, which is exactly half of a circle. Now, take 180 times 2, and you have 360 degrees, a complete circle. And this can be proven because if you take this triangle right here and duplicate it and flip it so that the point of the second one is now at the bottom and it's touching evenly, and the bottom is touching this point evenly, you can see on a circle where the points at each end or each corner touch perfectly to the circle. Okay? So that's why they say it's divine. But there's a lot going on here, folks, behind the scenes. So though we're looking at one face of a triangle, I want you to try to envision this in a third dimension, okay? And think of this as a pyramid with 4 sides. All right? So we're just looking at the face of one side. There's going to be 3 others, and they're going to form the pyramid. Now, with that being said, let's look at the numbers. So we're looking at one face, and this one face has a corner with 36 degrees and another corner with 36 degrees. And we're going to have 3 other sides with these exact same degrees, these angles, okay? So 2 on this side, and then 3 others. That means 36 times 8. 4 sides, 2 angles gives us the number 8. So now we're going to get the number 288. Okay, so let's just do this one more time. 36, so you can see, times 8 gives us 288. Let me show you what happens. And I know this is going to freak a lot of people out. And this is where, when I asked you to just for a brief moment, suspend your religious beliefs just for a moment. I'm going to take this triangle and I'm going to duplicate it and set it exactly on top of the other one. And what I'm going to do is, remember the number 288, I'm going to rotate this new triangle 288 degrees. Okay. And now we're going to take the first triangle and duplicate it again. And this one, we're going to rotate minus 288 degrees. And look at what we get. It's a pentagram. Now that's why I asked you to suspend your religious beliefs for just a moment. And the reason I say that is because I want you to try to look at this as not being something dark, sinister, or evil. So we have the pentagram. Now, look at the number at the top. 108. That's the angle of degree on just this one side. But again, think of it as a pyramid, which means we would have 4 equal sides, which means you need to take 108 times 4. And look at the number we get, 432. Just like the 432 hertz, the universal harmony. Now, interesting that we would get that and this. Now, I want to show you something else. When you take 432 and add its mirror opposite, we get, so 432 plus 234 gives us the number 666. Now, I know what a lot of you are thinking. And I want to be very careful. I don't want to offend anybody. I don't want to upset anybody. But let's look at, so with Micah Dank's work, he has, as far as I'm concerned, proven that the Bible is nothing more than an allegory, and it's referencing the Zodiac. And it does so very well. So if that's the case, then is it possible that the I have to be careful here, that the story of Satan is also nothing more than just an allegory? And is it possible, let's just say it that way, is it possible that it's being used as a means in which to, as a deterrent, as like a way of keeping you away from a deeper truth? Okay, it's being used as a scare tactic, essentially. Because what better way to keep information hidden, but to tie this negative connotation to it, to make people believe that if you go down this path, it's the wrong path to go, so that you don't discover the information that they want to keep hidden. It's like, think of it like, I don't know. Think of it like a parent who wants to keep their child out of a certain room in the house because, you know, I don't know, that's where they keep their liquor and they store their guns and, you know, all this other stuff. And so, you know, they tell their child, you cannot go in there. If you go in there, something terrible is going to happen, something bad. Or they use a scare tactic, like don't go in this room because there's a ghost that lives in there, you know, whatever. I mean, it could be whatever. I mean, those are probably piss poor examples, but I'm just trying to give you an idea, you know. Another way of looking at it is like, let's say there's a storage facility somewhere, and in that storage facility is the Ark of the Covenant, and they don't want anybody to know what's in there. They want to keep people out and away from it. So they put up all these signs and all these symbols, danger, warning, keep out, entering may cause death, or, you know, whatever, you know, just all these different things in order to keep you out and away from what's hidden inside. And that's the question I'm asking here. Is it possible that the number 666, the pentagram, the beast, as they call it in the Bible, nothing more than a deterrent, a scare tactic to keep you afraid from exploring beyond the boundaries that have been designed for us, so that we don't learn the deeper truth, whatever that deeper truth may be. Now, I'm in no way saying you should go out and start worshiping the devil. I'm not saying that, okay? And please do not try to switch my words around and suggest that that's what I'm saying. I'm not. I'm simply saying, you know, again, are these merely symbols and references being made to keep us away from discovery? I don't know. I'm just asking the question. Now, let's look at something else here. And I know this next image that's going to pop up is going to kind of automatically instill a certain feeling in a lot of people. But let's just look at it. Let's just decode it. So this is the next frame. This is Satan, Lucifer, Baphomet. Has all these names. Looks pretty spooky, looks pretty scary. But let's really look at this deeper. So we have a man with female breasts. So it's a combination of man and woman with a goat's head. And on the arms, if we zoom in here, we have what looks like the word solve, but I believe it's pronounced solve, and coagula. Now it says, literally translated from Latin, it could be rendered as dissolve and coagulate. But the esoteric meaning is analyze and synthesize. Analyze is a process of breaking things apart into their most basic components. Synthesize is the process of sorting through those components and bringing them together again to form something new. Think about that for just a second. Synthesize is the process of sorting through those components and bringing them together again to form something new. So alchemists were saying that the great work is a continuous process of breaking apart to rebuild something more refined. That could seriously be looked at as another way of expressing a reset. Okay? You're taking something old, breaking it apart, putting it back together into something new. Now, those two words, solve and coagula, using the Jewish cipher of Gematria, solve gives us 865 and coagula gives us 282 for a total of 1147, which is another encoded 1111. Because we have 11 at the beginning, and then 4 and 7 is 11. But why do we have this? Why is it the head of a goat or a ram? Okay, so I have to jump in one more time here. I don't know why I keep saying a goat or a ram. It's not a ram, it is a goat. The ram would be Aries, but I don't know. For some reason I had ram stuck in my head, and I kept saying it. So I just wanted to correct that. I shouldn't be saying ram. It is a goat's head. It is not a ram. So just wanted to clear that up really quickly so people wouldn't think I was losing it. So yeah. All right. Let's get back to the video. Well, let me show you. And this information comes from just reading and listening to Micah Dink's work. So we have Capricorn, December 22nd to January 20th. It's the goat or the ram. And then we have Aquarius, which is the symbol of a man pouring water out of the pitcher. Okay, and that's from January 21st to February 18th. We're talking about winter months here. And going back, I want you to look at this image. This is from Dante's Inferno. It's known as the last ninth circle of hell and is divided into 4 rounds according to the seriousness of the sin. Though all residents are frozen in an icy lake, those who committed more severe sin are deeper within the ice. So why would they do this as a frozen, icy lake rather than fire, brimstone? I mean, like the whole idea, our whole idea of hell is this fiery pit. But he has encoded it in this as a frozen, icy lake. Is that because we're looking at Capricorn and Aquarius, the winter months? Now, if I'm not mistaken, winter doesn't actually end until March. Is it 19th, I think, is the last day of winter? So there's technically a third month. And I'm just speculating and questioning. See how this hand is pointed up? We have 2 fingers up. The thumb is encased and the other 2 fingers are down. So it's like this. It's almost as if he is saying, I am these 2 symbols, Capricorn and Aquarius. However, look at the other hand. The thumb is opened up. Is that a way of suggesting or encoding the third zodiac sign, which would be Pisces? And if that's the case, Pisces is the 2 fish. And could that be why we have what looks like fish scales right here? I don't know. Don't know. Just throwing out ideas here. Now, also, Baphomet has the names Satan and Lucifer. Lucifer is also known as the morning star. And the morning star is also known as Venus, the planet Venus. Okay, we often see it in the morning time, right before the sun comes up. So it is literally announcing, the morning star is announcing the arrival of the sun. SUN/SON. So that's why I go back to the idea or the possibility that the whole idea of a fiery hell and Satan, Lucifer, being a means in which to keep us under a certain level of control. Because again, if you want to hide information, if you want to keep information from people, the best way to do it is to encase it within what looks like something negative, so that you don't want to go near it. You don't want to explore it because you're afraid of what might happen if you do. So again, it's about a system of control. And what is the secret that they're trying to protect? That they're trying to keep us from finding the truth about, yet they're encoding ways for us to find it throughout history, literally throughout history, throughout time. Now, think about something here. Think if you had vital information that could change everything, and you were the only person on Earth who had this information. Now, if you do not pass that information on to your successor, then the information dies with you. That's what they're doing here. They're making sure that the information doesn't die out. That's why it's encoded, hidden through all of these symbols, these symbolism, these numbers, the way that it all connects is being done by design to keep the information from disappearing. Because if you are that person that I was just talking about, saying that you have this vital information that you don't pass on and you die, that information dies with you. It's lost forever. Forever. This is a way of making sure that the information never dies out. And for those who have the eyes and the ability to see, can decode the information. Yeah. When you think of it like that, it really starts to open your mind, and you start thinking about what ways they might go in order to try to keep the information hidden. But you can start picking out the information when you come across stuff like this. You can start to see what's actually being done. And it's done in such a way that, again, you have to question, like, there has to be some sort of divine influence, or these people have to have some sort of divine knowledge in order to encode this. Yeah. It's wild when you start to think of it like that. So again, going back to the 432 hertz, you have to ask the question, why would they change that? If it's the universal harmony and it can remove mental blocks and it has all of these benefits, maybe that's why they wanted it to change. Because if they can change, as it was suggested by that theory of the Nazi propaganda minister, that encoding things at 440 hertz, that it would make people think and feel a certain manner and to make them a prisoner of a certain consciousness. It's a system of control. So, I mean, it makes perfect sense to me as to why they would want to change it. To keep the information hidden, to keep you dumbed down, to keep you a prisoner, so that the information stays hidden. Yeah, gets pretty deep. And again, what are the chances that 432 hertz plus its mirror opposite would give us the value of 666? Now, what's interesting to me is that number has always been associated with the devil, Satan, the Antichrist. But in the Bible, it literally states that it is the number of a person or the number of a man. Now, I have two Bibles here. That belong to my mom. And this first one right here was published in 1987, I think. Yeah, 1987. And just going to Revelations, and you can look this up if you have a Bible, look it up. Go to Revelations 13, I think it's 13:18. Yeah. So Revelations 13:18, it says, "This takes wisdom. Let the one who has understanding find the meaning of the number, which is the number of a person. Its number is 666. Okay? Now that's from this one. Now this Bible is really old. This one's like 76 years old. And it's completely falling apart. As you can see, it's just really, really old. This Bible was actually given to my great-grandparents by my grandfather. So on the inside of it, it says, presented to Mother and Dad by Raymond and Jean. That was my grandfather and grandmother. Dated December 25th, 1947, which would be 75 years ago. But the Bible itself was published in 1946, so it's 76 years old. So this one's pretty old, almost 100 years. Wow. That's crazy. Now, looking at Revelations in it, going to the same section, Revelations 13:18. In this version, right above, it says the number of the beast. And then it says, here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Yeah, that's interesting. The number of a man. Now, it makes me think that a more literal translation of that it should possibly be not man, but mankind. Yeah. So again, we go back to what are they protecting? What secret are they protecting? And encoding through this elaborate process. Are they protecting the idea that we live, I don't know, in a simulation? Are they protecting the idea of our creation isn't quite in line with what we've been told? That the creation process is, not that God created the heavens and the earth and, in 7 days, and, he made Adam from, grains of sand and Eve from one of his ribs. Okay. That's the story we've been told. But what if it's not accurate, And so they use these stories, these allegories to keep the information hidden. I don't know. But you can see how the numbers play out and how they connect. There is a connection here. Now, something interesting. Going back to 400, let's just start over here. 432 plus its mirror opposite, 234, again, gives us the number 666. Now take this number and add its mirror opposite, which is exactly the same number. So add 666, and we have the number 1332. Now this number is important. Why? Because 369 and its mirror opposite, 963, is 1332. Now remember, Nikola Tesla is the one who is quoted as saying, if you only understood the magnificence of the 3, 6, and 9, you would hold a key to the universe. Now let's look at some other encoding going on here. So the end numbers, okay, there was that sequence where the numbers that were generated, they went from 470, and then they start the sequence of 369, 258, 1470, and then it repeats over and over and over and over and over and over. Every number does this all the way up into the 100 billion mark. So that's why I'm looking at just those numbers right here. 369, 258, 147. So 258 plus its mirror opposite of 852 gives us the number 1110. And then 147 plus 741, its mirror opposite, gives us the number 888. Now, let's take those numbers and add their mirror opposites. So 1332 plus its mirror opposite is 2331. we get 3663. And then 1110 plus its mirror opposite, which is 0111. And as you can see, the 0 drops off because 0 at the beginning of a number does not calculate. That gives us the number 1221. And then 888 plus its mirror opposite, which is 888, gives us the number 1776. Add all of these together, and we have 666. So that's what I'm saying, folks. I'm saying, is this number as bad as we've been told that it is? Or are they using it as a means of keeping us afraid and from a deeper understanding and truth? Are they using it as a system of control? Because we're told if we don't live our lives a certain way, the way that the Bible says that we should, we are going to hell. We will never enter the kingdom of heaven. We will spend an eternity in hell. That idea is very frightening to millions of people all over the world. But again, what if they're just simply using it as a tool? It's fear porn. Keeping us in line, keeping us in check, keeping us dumbed down, and keeping us away from exploring the truth, a deeper truth. And whatever that truth may be, I don't know. I'm hoping that, eventually we'll get to a greater understanding of what all of this means. But you can clearly see that this is all connected. It's all connected. So, yeah, there you have it. So again, that's why, I asked, just suspend your religious beliefs for just a moment and try to think outside the box. They say that Lucifer is the master of deception. But what if they're literally using him as the deception? Do you see what I'm saying? I hope that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. So, yeah, I just thought this was interesting. I thought these numbers were, obviously when I came across this and saw the pentagram, I think deep down inside, I did what everybody else would do and be like, okay, that's not where I thought this was going to go. So, I thought, crap, this is going down the wrong rabbit hole. It's leading to something terrible. But is it? Is it? Or again, is it just a system of control? So when I started thinking of it like that, then that's where it starts opening up all these other questions. Now, very quickly, I'm going to wrap this up here, but just very quickly, I want you to look at the numbers. So let's go back to this image here. The last 9th circle of hell. 9th. Why is it 9? Because 9 is the ruling number. And it's proven. Because look at these numbers. 108. 1 and 8 is 9. 3 and 6 is 9. Okay? We rotated this by 288 degrees. 2 plus 8 is 10, plus 8 is 18, and 8 and 1 is 9. Plus 432. Let's just pull it up here. So 4 and 3 is 7, and 7 and 2 is 9. Not only that, remember how we rotated this first one by 288 degrees and the second one by minus 288. Let me just delete this one and do it again. I want to show you what happens. Okay, so I've duplicated it sitting on top of the original. I'm going to come over here. You can see I'm typing in minus 288. I'm going to hit enter. It puts it into position. But look at the number. It changed it to 72 automatically. 72 degrees. 7 and 2 is 9. You can really start to see how all of this is a giant puzzle and all of these pieces are coming together. Now, when it comes to the encoding of this, I mean, whoever or whatever is behind it, I mean, the knowledge in which to do this is extraordinary. It's extraordinary. And again, you know, you want to keep something secret, but you don't want to lose the knowledge. You're going to hide it in these places for those who are able to decipher it and pass the information on. Which I guess is essentially what I'm doing. I'm decoding this and passing the information on, but I'm not doing it in a encoded way. I'm exposing the code. Now I want to show you something else just really interesting before I end this. I went to gematrix.org and just simply typed in the number of the beast, because that's what it showed in the Bible, that 76-year-old Bible that I have. And look at the numbers here. Okay. We have 8, 3, and 7. So 8 plus 3 plus 7 is 18. 1 and 8 is 9. We have 1242. 1 plus 2 plus 4 plus 2, 9. And looking at simple gematria, we get 207. And again, 2 and 7 is 9. The ruling number of 9. So there you have it, folks. Yeah, I mean, it's just one more piece of the puzzle, you know, and hopefully at some point we, you know, we can get to the end game of all of this and find out what it all means. I don't know. I hope that's my biggest hope, is that, you know, we can find out what all of this means. We can find out what the secret is that's being hidden from us in plain sight. I mean, literally, it's in plain sight. But we just have to have the eyes and ears to see it. And doesn't Jesus himself say something along those lines in the Bible? Yeah. So, all right, folks, I'm going to wrap this up. It's late here. It's 10:55 at night, but I just wanted to get this out. And again, like I said, this is the third time recording this. The first version, I kind of went into this whole rant and decided that probably wasn't the best way to go. And then the second time, the neighbor's dogs were barking and all kinds of shit was going on outside. And I was like, okay, this is just ruining the recording. I'm going to wait till it's nighttime and everything is quiet, and let's see how it goes. And I feel comfortable with this. So this will be the version that gets uploaded. So until next time, I hope you all take care. I hope you have a great week and or rest of the week. And I'm sure we'll be talking again soon. So till next time, take care. Bye-bye.